that happened to me. I just so happened to do like a beauty show, had all my handmade concoctions at this beauty show and met the right person. A year later, I was in Target.
I believe that like every industry at its core these days, especially, is like a technology industry. Every business is a technology business because if you think about HR, you're using technology to get it done. If you're, mixing hair care products or wellness products, you're using some sort of science and technology to get that done. In growing your company, how did you utilize technology to accelerate scaling?
Initially, it was all cell phones, social media. Definitely, of course, we couldn't have done anything without multiple computers and just communicating and keeping in touch with our consumer base, as well as growing our consumer base with utilizing like social media and our cell phones. I think that if I always say, I joke about if we were stranded on an island, what's the one thing we could not live without, or what's the one thing we could still run our business with? And I would say my cell phone over my computer, because it's so many apps and everything that we have on our cell phone right at our hand, even banking, that we're still able to keep in touch with our consumer. We're still able to check our emails, communicate with our employees, put orders in. I can bank on with my phone. So definitely my cell phone, the apps, social medias, that, everything that's out there, and all these new apps that they've come out with for business owners, like myself, that makes things easier to communicate even with your employees, or all the way down to scheduling what our day would be like. So yes, it would have to be, of course, my cell phone and apps that they provide to owners like myself.
Could you have done what you did with Camille Rose? Like, could you have grown as fast as you did without technology, or how much harder would it have been to get to where you are without it?
I'm wondering how would I have grown without it, because I didn't have any money when I started my brand. I definitely could not put up a big billboard or do a commercial for a TV advertisement or even a radio spot. So I'm not sure if it would be in existence and still be 100% owned and funded by myself, because of course, like so many other people who start a new business or a brand, our funds are very limited. So I know that would have been extremely difficult. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, Camille Rose would not have been, but I know it would have been very difficult.
So many people doing the kind of work that you've succeeded at doing, but they don't get to where you got, right? And there's still so many people still in the kitchen, making that formula. And how did you grow the brand pre-store shelf to even get on the shelf in the first place?
Yeah, because I think I tell everybody, you can have the idea, but you have to put the drive and the passion, and it truly has to be your destiny. Whatever business you want to get into or start, that truly has to be, within your heart. And then besides having your passion, you have to be able to get up and do the work and, apply pressure or apply, that one step going further, every day, consistently. If you combine the two, I think you have the formula for success. And it's just this feeling. I tell entrepreneurs or young entrepreneurs, it's just a feeling that you get, you thrive off of, okay, I got to do this for my business, just working for yourself and making things happen for yourself. It's just this like high that you're on. You cannot have this great idea and then keep procrastinating or putting it to the side, or I'm gonna get to it, or you're lacking. If you have that in you, then you're lacking in some sort of way. So I think all entrepreneurs who are true entrepreneurs, they have that I'm gonna make it happen attitude by any means necessary. And work doesn't necessarily feel like work. When I started Camille, I had a full-time job, got off of my full-time job, and then came home and worked extra hard for myself. And it really didn't feel like work. I enjoyed doing that.
Yeah, I see so many people, let's say even starting like a clothing brand. Like what made you uniquely suited for this? Because, again, that people come to me and they have a clothing brand. I'm like, well, is anybody asking you for clothes? Are people following you because you have great style? Like, what made you uniquely suited for this business?
This was a hobby of mine turned business. And I just think spiritually, it's my true path. I went to school, I have a master's in science. I had no idea I would be in the beauty industry. My goal was to do home health and work in the hospitals and things like that, and which I did for a little while, but I had this, I was kind of put in this position where my kids started having issues with their skin and hair and severe dryness and eczema that I took it upon myself to create this whole holistic and natural environment for me and my family. And I think that when you see someone that you love in need, you try to do whatever you could do to kind of solve their issues. And that was the start for me and Camille Rose. I had no idea I was going to be selling it to anybody. I made all these formulas and products for myself and my family, and friends started asking, and then they started coming back for more. And as I would use my own formulas, I would see the results. And so I said, you know what, this shouldn't be kept within my own family. I don't want to be selfish. I got to share this with the world. And I threw up a website and started getting orders.
Yeah, and we're going to come back and talk about the website because I've heard you talk about this before. Before we get there, there's something I heard you talk about in another interview where you said, so much forgotten talent in these overlooked places, like, you're from Louisiana. And I wonder, like, for the people listening to this who feel like they're not in the right place geographically to make their dreams real, what do you say to that, coming from the deep South, and seeing people make it from there, and you being one of them?
Yeah, absolutely. That is something like anybody could say, well, I'm from Little Timbuktu, so nobody's going to recognize me or care about me. That's so not true. And I learned that not only through my business, but so many other businesses that are successful. People are coming from all over, all walks of life. It's just, I think that when you are a consumer and when you are in the trenches and what you are around regular people and you're hearing what they want, what they need, I think that's an extra added gift, that you are blessed with, to kind of be like, okay, I'm the consumer, or I'm my mom, I'm listening to my mom, or I hear my friend, or I see what, this person need, and I can make it happen, or I can solve an issue. I think that even if you're in this small area, if you talk loud enough, scream loud enough, put that extra effort of work in, make some noise, somebody's going to hear you.
Let's talk about this website for a second, because you said I threw up a little website, but let's get in on this, because you talked about you were in the path to be in healthcare, right? Yeah. And so you're probably not a coder. And so I wonder, like, okay, what is this website that you built, and tell me what you did. Let's talk about that.
I didn't do, literally, I found a local. My brother actually did that silhouette. Oh, okay. That's kind of me. I'm like, okay, turn me to the side. I just want my brows to be a little longer. And
the logo.
Sketched it up. So
you're talking about the logo, right?
Yes, my logo. And so I ended up finding this local graphic person to actually turn it in his sketch into a logo. The yellow rose that's in my silhouette's hair. It's I dedicated that rose to my grandmother. She loved roses, and it's the whole story behind it too. So I only wanted that to be the pop of color, but I found this local photographer. All the content that I had on my original labels, I did all that myself. He was just in his little one-room studio trying to take images, and I found a friend that knew how to, I think my first website was maybe like 3 or 4 pages. He kind of threw my products up there. We introduced the brand, introduced myself, put the price, and that was literally it. That was it. Yeah. And of course we was very active on like Facebook to kind of help us get the word out.
Yeah, let's go in there, because that's where my question is because I hear you say, you know, you got to be in, or you got to be going at it when after you come home from work, you got to be working on this thing. And I can imagine so many people listening to this interview saying, well, I'm doing all of that. I got the website, I got a logo, whether I got it on Canva or I paid somebody on Upwork, some freelance designer to do this thing. Yes. I'm putting in the hours, and it's not going where yours is going.
Well, mine didn't go where I am right now instantly. Like it was blood, sweat, and tears in this. You know what I'm saying? And if you keep at it, don't give up. Show up at places that you need to be, like whatever your business is. If they have like seminars or different functions where you can introduce your craft, please go. That happened to me. I just so happened to do like a beauty show, had all my handmade concoctions at this beauty show, and met the right person. A year later, I was in Target. So don't ignore those kind of places. Invest there. You know, try when you're trying to figure out, okay, I have this amount of money. Where am I going to put this in my business? Don't forget about those shows. Don't forget about events. Don't forget about things that's happening in your area where you can pass out little samples that you make in your warehouse or on your own. Pass them out. Get the word out there like that as well. You know, just get in the street and kind of be your own voice.
Yeah, you are in the biggest big box stores there are, Target and Walmart, and et cetera. And when you meet those people, those buyers, what is it that they're looking for? Like is it a certain number that they're looking for in your sales? And how do you prepare that documentation to present to them?
When I met the buyers at Target, I had just my online sales, and it was not that much. I think with me and my brand, when I got up there and I told my story, they saw my passion. They saw how I was so authentic, and just the way I spoke about Camille Rose and what Camille Rose stand for. And then, of course, you know, they were looking for companies like mine, but I didn't have big numbers on any of my social pages at all. I just went in there and I kind of told a story, and they liked it. And even with my products today, like even my consumers, like they know, I feel like when they pick up a Camille Rose product, they can feel how organic and authentic we are to our brand. I always want people to know that Camille Rose is the same as Camille Rose was back in 2010. We're the same today. You know, our message is the same. What we stand for is the exact same. And I think people feel that in my brand and in my content and my packaging that's on the retail stores. on the retail shelves. I'm sorry.
Yeah. When you do get that call to, hey, we're going to put your stuff in, 50 stores, 100 stores, or whatever.
Yeah.
What kind of systems need to be in place on the manufacturing side, or is that something that they step in on? Like, because I imagine you can't fulfill those orders from your kitchen.
Well, actually, I did. And it liked to take me completely out. Like, it was so stressful. When I got my first retailer, which was Target, they wanted to give me I think they wanted to give a large amount of doors. And then it was me that kind of stepped back and said, no, I'll take 100. I don't want 1,000. I'll take 100, because I knew that I was still hand making all of my products and I didn't want to set myself up for failure. First of all, what does this mean, me going in retail? And then I knew nothing about a laboratory. I didn't know how to get one. I knew nothing about that at all. So I had to continue to make. Mind you, I didn't have any employees either at this time. The lady that I met, this lady in my area, and she was just like, oh, I'll help you out, with the labels. So she would apply labels and put the tops on while I'm like literally squeezing a product in a bottle, and kind of packing it up. So it became, I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know if I was like, okay, Target, they just putting one order in, let me fulfill this and we good. But they started coming, every week. And it was at that point, I was like, I can't do this. Like, how do I get a laboratory? So started researching, went to the internet and researched how to get a laboratory. I found several, but they did not want to take me on and my brand because Camille Rose is that gourmet foodie brand, and a lot of my ingredients are like wholesome. They're food grade ingredients, and laboratories don't typically order those type of raw materials. They order chemicals. So I got a lot of no's until I found this one lab that was like, I'll help you out. But even that was a nightmare because I had to order all of my ingredients and send it to him. I was just kind of using his tanks, and but over time it was a learning process. It was difficult. It was stressful. I lost a lot of sleep during that time. And I just I had to figure it out on my own.
Yeah. And you said you didn't have any employees in those early days of those first orders. And so you're in there, squeezing it into the tubes. But you also said in a different interview, coming off the shelf is a lot harder than getting on the shelf. And so I wonder, how are you likewise growing the brand to get off the shelf as you're running the business? Because there are so many people who are like you at that stage who are doing the whole thing, and they're trying to grow the brand, fulfill the product, get it shipped, order the raw materials. Like, how is all of this stuff happening?
So, I think that for newcomers, they need to utilize their platform to the best of their ability. Like, get on there and talk to your followers and let them know what you're doing, or try to grow your followers. Tag people, contact micro or influencers. Say, hey, I got this product. Would you like to try it? I could gift you with this. And then kind of get the word out that way. And then, of course, once we started to build momentum in Target, I was able to bring on, people, more professional people to kind of, pass things off on. But what I decided to do was I wanted to grow organically and take my time. So I told a lot of people, a lot of retailers no, for a while before I was able to say, okay, I'm at that point. Now it's yes. And don't be afraid to tell people no and think that this is my only opportunity. If I say no, I may not get another chance. Don't think of it like that, because if you make a mistake and accept things that you can't handle, it's very expensive to come out of those retail stores. I know many great brands that came in with me that really didn't make it. And, so just don't be afraid to grow organically and at your own pace.
How did your first sales happen? Because you talked about you threw up a website and people started ordering. How did those initial sales start to happen? Were they family and friends or people who live in your neighborhood?
I think at New York, like I started getting a ton of orders from girls from New York. And what was happening was, I think a blogger got a hold of one of my deep conditioners, and she had a good amount of followers. So she started reviewing my product. And from there, it was like this snowball effect. But I can remember getting phone calls and me acting like I got this whole big old customer service team, and that's just me on the other end. Hi. And I started talking to this girl who ordered. Of course, I had out of stocks a lot. So I was like, oh, so what do you like about the product? And she was just, oh, Camille Rose, and it does this, that, and that. And now that was me. I'm like acting like I'm the customer service rep. So I really think it was the word of mouth. YouTube was hot back then. It still is, but those influencers just getting on there, talking to their followers about good products and with good ingredients that they found.
So it sounds like that happened for you by happenstance. Like if you were to redo this and be intentional about finding that blogger to write or finding that YouTube influencer to talk about it on their video, what would that pitch look like for you? And let's say it's the early days again, and you're redoing this and you want it to be intentional now to go get that person. Well, what does that pitch look like for you?
It would still be kind of like today, like organic. Like I like to work with people who know the brand, and are familiar with the brand and stand for the same things that I stand for, which is, ingredients matter, great ingredients, and not just looking to review a product because it's the popular thing or it's $5.99 or a cheaper product. I want label readers. Camille Rose consumers are label readers, because before I even got into the business, or when I thought about getting into the business, one thing that everyone was telling me, make sure you label read. Make sure you know what you are using on your body, what you're putting in your body. And that goes for food as well. I went on this whole natural quest from everything that we eat to the products that we use to what, I'm cleaning my house with. So label readers, they are my consumers, and I would do it the same way. If you're into a product that's holistic or natural, I'm reaching out, hey, I like what your page looks like, or I like what you stand for, I love your curls, let me tell you about my products.
How did you figure out things like unit costs, like what it costs to make one bottle? Because I imagine like so many people are just making, okay, it's $10 for the thing, but they don't really know what it costs, that one single bottle.
I was the same way initially. The same way. Like, it's so much, like I'm so self-taught. And I like that because I think it just makes me that much stronger now. Like, I didn't have anybody holding my hand. I had to figure it out on my own. And I think, man, just sitting there breaking down how much you're spending for everything. And that goes from the label to the shippers, the box that you are shipping with, to your stamps, to your bubble wrap, adding all that in to, of course, your raws and your components, adding all that in to your formula, and just figuring out, okay, how do I make a profit, and how much am I paying out? Calculating all that in. I just had to sit there and do it.
Do you imagine, because this is not an industry, so I'm curious, like, is it, you're getting very intricate in the fact that, okay, if I'm buying, let's say, Shea, and it comes in, quarts, and then I'm buying, coconut oil, and it comes in gallons, and then I'm buying, X ingredient, and it comes in a whole different denomination. And now I've got to figure out how much I'm using per bottle. And then I've got to figure out how much of all, like, is it getting that deep into the numbers?
It's that deep. It's really that deep to the point where now, of course, a year or so later into the business, of course, we had to bring in experts. I didn't know it was that deep either until I started meeting and talking to other people in the beauty industry, in manufacturing, in the laboratories, and seeing, okay, 8 ounces, you have to add up or calculate all of those ounces, and it's a formula. And I was taught that, and of course I had to bring people into my business that knew it down to a T, because at the end of the day, it's all about how much you can save. You want to make sure you're not overspending on even your shippers, even FedEx. You have to take all of that into consideration.
Knowing what you know now about what it takes to do this well, like, what tools would you recommend other beauty industry, wellness, hair care, skincare, smaller brands that are trying to scale? What tools, software, or et cetera, would you recommend that people find early that helps them do better business?
To me, I'm not even going to say what's more important is finding the right people and passing certain workloads off to people where that is their area of expertise. Like, I had that problem, like my hand was in everything, all the way down from shipping to formulas to content, like all that. Like, my hand was in so much, and being able to kind of step back and say, okay, your logistics, let you handle that. This is your area. So just being able to let go a little bit, trust other people, and let them do their job. I think that is extremely important. If you cannot afford to bring somebody in on, like, as a full-time employee, it's many different sites out there where you can contract people out. You may not need a person to be full-time with you just for content. It's different writers out there. I think you mentioned, one of the sites.
Like Upwork.
Yes. Utilize that to the fullest. I did a lot, in the beginning. So those kind of tools and sites like that are very helpful. You just have to do your research.
At what sales number, or is it a sales number, do you start to really believe that you got something for real and that this is worth investing in?
Well, it wasn't even a number for me. It was me listening to what people were saying, and consumers and people all on, like, YouTube and Instagram, and be like, oh my God, look at your hair. Look at how you styled your hair with my curl up, or just listening to them saying, oh, your oil, your growth serum, or your grow back drops. I had a patch right here. Just look at my hair, sis. I love the fact that people that I haven't even met, they're calling me Janell, like we besties. You know what I'm saying? I love that. Yeah, just work, just staying true and know what your product and your brand is about.
How important is things like content creation? You guys spend a lot of time on YouTube, and obviously it's, a hair care, skin care, wellness brand. Like, what tools and platforms should an entrepreneur in this industry be focused on?
Content creation is very important because you want to make sure you are getting the right message to whoever you want your consumer to be. we use a lot of, you'll be surprised at other websites. Like I used a lot of foodie websites and restaurants to go there to help me so I could get inspiration on, okay, I know that I am using gourmet foodie ingredients. How do I write this up? You know, when you read one of my labels, you know, I want to spark like all of the senses. I want you to smell my product and be like, oh my God, it smells like baked goods. Or if you're reading what's on my label, it sounds like this is like delicious, you know? And so it's definitely important for you to get your content just right and really, really nail it, because that is your opportunity to grab your consumers' attention and kind of bring them into your whole brand family.
You mentioned that when you got a hold of Target, like they were looking for brands like yours, and you talk about timing and how important it is for, you know, that thing that you really can't control. We can just be prepared for it, right?
Yeah.
How important is timing to somebody who may feel like, you know, it's not going the way that they thought it might go, and what would you say to encourage them in that regard?
Yeah, so I will say I got into Target. Listen, I did a beauty show, and it was no one there at that show. I mean, I was just standing in my booth and so bored. So somebody came up to me. Actually, it was a Caucasian male with flip-flops and a backpack on. And, you know, I look, he said, so tell me about your brand. And like, I could have said, it's not for you, or, you know, but I didn't. I just chose to speak about Camille Rose and why I started Camille Rose. And he was like, he really saw and felt the passion when I described all of my products. And, you know, thank God I didn't like profile this person. I spoke with him like he was a girl with the afro. And by the time I finished, he was like, you know, I am a buyer from Target. I would love to fly you up so you can tell us about your brand.
Love that.
So never, if you have an opportunity to tell any and everybody, please do. If you have an event that, you know, you have an opportunity to be a part of an event and you can do it, go that extra mile, you know?
Because of COVID, you know, you couldn't do a lot of in-person things, and we're on the tail end of that, I hope. But you talked about, you know, because of the pandemic, you know, you've been able to talk to people you don't think you would have been able to reach otherwise had it not been for the pandemic in that regard. And what do you say to people who may not realize what this moment could be in creating an opportunity for them to go get that thing?
My God, in so many ways. Like, I think by us, when we got on the lockdown and we were forced to kind of dig deep into ourselves, like it was just an opportunity to start to recharge, refresh, like rethink things. Our whole 2020 marketing budget, like we just went out of the window. I mean, we couldn't do anything. I think 2020 was the year for Camille Rose to do their own Camille Rose events in different cities. And this whole, nope, we can't do it. So how do we pivot? What do we do? What do you mean we can't do it? What do we do now? So I told my team, you know, we have almost 500 and something thousand followers. Like, there's not one show that we could do or we be a part of where we're able to reach all those people. So we need to take advantage of that. Let's take our beauty kitchen, which we call it when we travel. Take our beauty kitchen, and how do we have that same kitchen, that same beauty experience, give this to our consumers on our social pages? And we did. I was so proud of myself. So we had everything that we would have at a show or an event. We brought it to social media. Entertainment. I had people come in. I had DJs. I had a violinist. I had chefs, because I know for me, I was like, my kids home, I'm sick of cooking. I don't even know what to cook. this is too much. So I had a chef come on every week. My social media girl, she was like, I'm having so much anxiety because my happy places shut down and it's just too much for me. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get a psychologist on. So she spoke about, how to handle this situation, self-care. We had dermatologists on. My husband came on and he spoke about COVID. He's a physician. We had some of everybody. And when somebody said they got a problem, really, you have that problem? A lot of other people must be having the same problem, so let's address it. So we just kept our followers and our consumers on social media entertained. And of course, we had our stylists on, doing different hairstyles for them as well.
So what it sounds like you did, like you weren't saying buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. You were offering your customers, your fans, your believers, an experience and things that they believed in, but it wasn't directly Camille Rose stuff. You were the
yeah, absolutely. Camille Rose, we're a whole lifestyle brand. We're more than a hairstyle, we are lifestyle. So even when I started my Instagram page, I told my social media person, I wanted to feel like people are coming and they're looking in a magazine. It's not just buy my curl up. It's not that at all. It's an experience.